I'm Julia. Sitting at the dinner table now. The silence is so heavy it's almost suffocating. My fiancé, Ethan, is sitting beside me, his hand warm and steady over mine. My sister, Lily, has that fake smirk on her face, and my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, look so self-righteous, as if they've just done the most honorable thing in the world. My parents just dropped a bombshell. We gave your child's operation money to your sister. She has big dreams. She deserves a chance at a better life, Dad said, his tone full of pride, not a hint of guilt. Mom nodded beside him, smiling that sickly sweet smile, like stealing my son's hope for a normal life was some kind of moral win. The room went deathly quiet. Even the ticking of the old clock on the wall seemed too loud. I didn't scream.
I didn't cry.
I've learned that sometimes silence can be more powerful. I just glanced at Ethan. His grip on my hand tightened, a silent promise of support. Lily, with her condescending tone, said, "You'll get it one day, Julia. Life favors those who strive for something great." Something inside me snapped, but I held it together. Dad leaned back, sipping his coffee as if he was discussing the weather. "Lily's opening a high-end jewelry store. She needs that money far more than your son's surgery. It's not like it's life or death. It can wait. Her dream is an investment for the future." Ethan slowly stood up. His voice, though calm, carried a sharp edge. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, do you have any idea what you've just done?" Mom frowned, her voice full of annoyance. "Sit down, Ethan. Don't make a scene. We've raised Julia to be generous. You should understand family sacrifice." Ethan's jaw tightened. "If you want to talk about sacrifice, fine." He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and unlocked the screen. "Do I need to tell you what I do for a living?" Lily's confident smile wavered. Dad looked confused. Ethan turned the phone screen towards them. "Because if I do, this whole conversation will turn upside down." His calmness was almost scary. He just stared at my parents, the people who took my child's future away, as if seeing them clearly for the first time. Dad crossed his arms and said, "Don't start threatening us, boy. We did what we had to." Ethan's voice remained level. "No, you did what you wanted to." He showed them the phone screen with an email header. "Thompson Family Financial Audit, confidential access granted." Dad's face paled. "You're in finance?" he asked in a slow, disbelieving voice. Ethan smiled without warmth. "Close. I'm a forensic accountant. I specialize in tracking down misused funds, especially donations for medical and charity purposes." Lily's hand froze on her glass. You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm dead serious," Ethan said. "Do you know what it's called when someone redirects medical funds into a personal account? It's fraud." Mom's voice trembled. "You wouldn't report your own family." Ethan looked at me, then back at her. "I don't need to. The hospital already suspected something when the funds went missing. I just found out where it ended up." Lily's lip quivered. "You checked my account? You used your full name for the transfer." "It wasn't exactly subtle," Ethan replied. Dad slammed his fist on the table. "We're family." Ethan leaned in, his eyes cold. "Then act like it. Because right now, I'm the only one at this table who remembers what that word really means." The silence was thick and humiliating. For the first time ever, my family seemed so small, their excuses so flimsy. Dad finally broke the silence. "You can't just come in here and throw around accusations, Ethan. You're not part of this family yet." Ethan tilted his head, unperturbed. "Maybe that's a blessing." Mom glared at him. "We did what was best for both our daughters. Lily needed a fresh start." My chest tightened. My son needed a new heart valve. The words hung in the air like shards of glass. Lily mumbled, "You're overreacting. Hospitals always exaggerate. Kids bounce back." Ethan's voice cut through hers like a knife. "He's 6 years old, Lily. Do you have any clue what recovery means for him? He sleeps with machines to keep him alive while you play businesswoman with stolen money." Her smirk disappeared instantly. Ethan opened a folder on his phone and started scrolling through screenshots, bank records, wire transfer confirmations, and emails from the hospital's billing department. Dad leaned forward, starting to sweat. Where did you get all these? Ethan ignored him and looked at me instead. They transferred every single cent you raised from the fundraiser into Lily's account. And your father signed off on the transaction. The date matches the day the hospital payment bounced. My stomach churned. You knew, I whispered to Dad. He avoided my eyes. We plan to pay it back. With what? Ethan asked sharply. Your retirement savings? Or the sales from Lily's store? Mom tried to stand up, but Ethan's stern tone stopped her. You don't need to explain. You'll have a chance when the auditors come knocking. My parents' faces went ashen as the weight of guilt replaced their excuses. Dad's knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the table. You wouldn't involve outsiders in family affairs, he hissed. Ethan leaned back, as calm as ever. It's already done. The hospital started an investigation as soon as the money disappeared. I just confirmed where it went. Mom's lips trembled. We were going to give it back. Lily just needed to get her store up and running first. Stop, I said softly. You didn't borrow it. You stole it from your grandchild's surgery fund. You thought I'd keep quiet like I always did. Lily's bravado crumbled. Julia, I swear I didn't know it was his money. Dad said it was leftover from the fundraiser. I laughed softly, a bitter sound. There was no extra. Every dollar had a donor's name on it, people who trusted us. Ethan slid a folder across the table, a printed report with the hospital's logo. They've already filed preliminary charges, but they're willing to hold off on formal action if the money is returned within 72 hours. Mom gasped. 72 hours? That's impossible, Dad muttered. We can't move that much money that quickly. Ethan shrugged. Then maybe it's time to call Lily's investors. Lily's voice cracked. You're ruining us. I looked her in the eye. No, Lily. You did this to yourself when you decided my child's pain was less important than your lifestyle. For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was Dad's heavy breathing. Then Ethan stood up and placed his phone on the table like a final warning. You have 72 hours. After that, you'll hear from the lawyer. As he took my hand and we got ready to leave, I knew my family finally realized I wasn't joking this time. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing, missed calls, texts, voicemails. Mom's desperate voice came through on one. Julia, please don't do this. We'll fix it. We just need more time. Dad's voice was in another. You're not thinking straight. You'll destroy our family. But I was more clear-headed than ever. I stared at the calendar reminder Ethan had set. 72. Our deadline expires Sunday, 10 a.m. The days seemed to drag on. Ethan sat quietly beside me, his laptop open, checking the money, transfer records. He didn't say much, but every time I started to doubt myself, he'd place a comforting hand on my shoulder. On the second day, Lily called from an unknown number. Julia, please. The store launch was a disaster. I can't get any investors. Dad's going crazy, and Mom won't stop crying. I stayed silent. She let out a shaky breath. You've changed. You're so cold. I smiled faintly. No, Lily. I've just learned to be as cold as you. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, I never thought you'd actually go through with this. You never thought I could, I replied. On the last night, Mom showed up at my door, her makeup smeared, her hands shaking. She didn't say a word at first, just held out a check. We sold the beach house. It's all we have left. I looked at it. It was exactly $52,000, the amount they'd stolen. I hope your sister has learned her lesson, she said quietly. She won't, I answered, but I did. The next morning, when Ethan sent the repayment confirmation to the hospital, the legal department sent a simple message back. Case closed. Funds restored. For a few days, everything was quiet again, a quiet that wasn't peace, but the aftermath of a storm. Then, on Wednesday night, Dad called. His voice sounded so small, different from the confident man from the dinner table. We lost the store, he muttered. Lily's investors pulled out after they heard about the hospital money. Ethan looked up from his laptop and mouthed, They deserve it. I didn't say a word. Dad continued. Your mother has changed. She hardly leaves the house and Lily barely talks. Are you happy now, Julia? The old me would have felt guilty, but now I only felt the truth. I didn't destroy you. You did that when you chose her dream over your grandson's life, I said softly. He let out a shaky breath. You sound just like Ethan. Maybe that's a compliment, I said and hung up. The next morning, Ethan handed me a brown envelope. Inside were printed copies of every transaction, every lie, with his firm's verification stamp. This is for your records, not for revenge, just for protection. You've earned the right to never be manipulated again, he said. I stared at him, my heart full. You did all this for me? He smiled gently. For you and for our little boy upstairs who deserves parents who can sleep at night without worry. That night, as I tucked my son into bed, his small hand wrapped around mine. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel helpless. I felt strong. My family had always taught me that silence was a virtue, but Ethan taught me that truth was far more powerful. 2 weeks later, Mom texted me. Mom, family dinner on Saturday. Just us. No more drama, I promise. Ethan raised an eyebrow when I showed him the message. Do you think it's a trap? Definitely, I said, but I'll go. He smiled. Then I'll come with you. When we arrived at my parents' house, the atmosphere was eerily calm. The table was set beautifully, with candles lit, and the smell of a roast filled the air. It was their old trick, trying to make things seem okay to cover up the pain. Lily greeted us first, with that fake smile again. You look well, she said. So do you, I replied, looking around at the bare walls. Where are the posters for your store? Her smile faltered. I took them down. I'm rebranding. Dad cleared his throat. We want to talk about moving forward. Ethan leaned back, his arm brushing mine. Before we go any further, you should know that Julia's financial record is clean again. But if any of you ever touch her money or reputation again, the next audit won't be so private. The room fell silent. Mom reached for my hand. Julia, I know we hurt you. We don't deserve forgiveness, but we're trying. I looked at her. Her face was older, tired, and defeated. For the first time, she wasn't speaking from a place of superiority. She was speaking from a place of loss. I believe you, I said softly. But forgiveness isn't about going back to the way things were. It's about setting boundaries. Dad nodded slowly. You sound just like your grandfather. That made me pause. Grandpa. He looked down. Before he passed away, he told me something I never understood until now. I waited. He met my eyes, his voice wavering. He said one day you'd be the one to save this family from its own mistakes. The room fell silent after Dad's words. There were no more defenses, no guilt-ridden speeches. Just the realization of what we'd all become. Mom wiped away her tears. We thought controlling everything meant loving you. Giving everything to Lily was supposed to protect our family's image. But all we did was break the one person who held us together. I looked at her, really looked at her. For the first time, I didn't feel hatred. I felt closure. Ethan squeezed my hand under the table, giving me strength. Families can rebuild, he said softly, but only when truth replaces pride. Lily sat there, looking at her untouched plate. I lost everything, she whispered. The store, the investors, my good name. You didn't lose everything, I said quietly. You just lost what didn't belong to you. Our eyes met, and this time there was no defiance, just exhaustion. I'm sorry, Julia, she said, her voice trembling. For everything. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't enough. But it was a start. After dinner, Dad walked us to the car. The night air was cool, and the sky was clear. I know we can't undo what we've done, he said in a low voice. But I'm proud of you. You stood up for yourself and your son. You became the strong person I've always wanted to be. I smiled faintly. Then maybe that's what Grandpa meant. As we drove home, Ethan reached for my hand. Are you okay? I looked out at the quiet streets. Better than okay. I didn't just get justice. I found peace. Because sometimes revenge isn't loud and explosive. It's calm, quiet, and unarguable. And when it comes, It doesn't burn the past. It lays it to rest gently.